In this video, I want to share with you the three biggest lessons that I've learned after posting daily on YouTube for the last 30 days straight. First lesson that I learned is just posting regardless of feeling ready or not is better than not posting at all, and overcoming having to have everything figured out has been the best thing for me for this channel. And I say that because I decided to s- just start my channel in the midst of being in a major life transition right now. At the time that I started, I had, I was preparing to resign from my full-time job, as well as preparing to move out of state back home, and with my mom, and just not really knowing for certain what I even wanted my channel to be about. And all of these things were really good reasons, at least to me, they were good reasons to not start. And I just kept putting it off and saying, I'll wait until I, know exactly what I want to do. I'll wait until I get settled in back home. I just kept saying, no, I should just wait. I should just wait. But I'm so glad that I got over that, because even though I have a lot going on, with restarting, resetting my life and just starting over, basically, I'm so glad that I went on ahead and started the channel anyway, because the process is helping me gain more clarity, and you know it's allowing me to evolve naturally, I suppose. And I'm okay with that, because ultimately it takes a lot of pressure off of me to feel like I have to have everything figured out. So that's the first big lesson that I have learned in this daily video journey. The second biggest lesson that I learned is that because I, have been trying to prioritize both decluttering my space, um, and, you know, actively making, you know, an effort, making a conscious effort into making my space feel like home. I mentioned this in my last video about actually making a conscious effort to make my space feel more like home, because it's something that I've struggled with over the in the past, because I'm so used to moving around a lot. And I've been really putting a lot of mental energy into it. And you might be like, well, dang, Kay, it's just one room. Like, it's just, it's already a house that's already established and you're moving in, you know. But you guys don't understand. Like, it's when I've been so used to just packing light and not really putting much thought into, you know, my living space, because most of the time, a lot of the time, I just never really had the bandwidth to focus on it very much, because I was always just occupied with work and learning and other things, that it just really was never a priority. But um I digress on that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that because I've been prioritizing the decluttering, trying to prioritize getting that done and out of the way, because I've given myself a certain, amount of time to try to get rid of as much stuff as possible, but also trying to prioritize my daily content. It has I've been able to stay consistent with actually posting daily. But however, where I struggle is coming up with an actual schedule, because I've mentioned this in other videos as well. Is like the time just seems to just fly by, and I guess it's because of me really moving with a lot of intentionality as far as this my whole life reset, and now having a purpose, like a actual purpose for the things that I'm doing. And I just the time is just flying by, and I look up and the whole day has gone. And I generally tend to post my videos super late because of this. And I really need to work on that, because I have the best energy and the best capacity earlier in the day. And that is when I would prefer optimally to create content for you all. So that's the second biggest lesson, is that having all these things going on has made it really difficult for me to create a set schedule for content creation, but it is something that I am going to actively work on, because I think it will ultimately help me create better videos in the long run. And finally, the third biggest lesson that I have learned over these last 30 days of posting daily is that I don't think that I would have been able to sustain daily posting if I was still working full time. Um, and I say that because when I first started the channel, I was still working full time, and I was exhausted, and I still was pushing through it, because it was very important to me that that I start, because I said if I didn't start now, that I would most likely never start. And I just pushed past the feeling of not feeling ready. And in the beginning, I was more I was using more scripted topics, because I needed to have structure in order to be like more structure, especially while I was still working, so that I could at least try to convey my thoughts better during that time, because even at that time I was still posting late, but that's because my schedule, I worked late. So I was just posting once I got off work. But so in the beginning, I felt like I really needed more structure. I still feel like I'm going to get back to more structure, but I relied on it way more in the very beginning, maybe that first week or two, because I had to, in order to make sure that I was able to, create videos. But now that I'm not working, and realizing how much time it takes for me to come up with something to talk about on a daily basis, and the thought, that goes behind it, and also trying to still work on the decluttering, and getting settled in, and I have a dog, and it's just it seems honestly like I'm way busier now than I was when I was working full time, which is crazy to think about. But and what's so crazy about it is that I'm not really making a conscious effort to be busy. It just so happens that I'm not, and I guess I'm not busy. It's just that when I start doing something, whenever I lock in on whatever the thing is that I want to do that day, like that's the priority, and that's the goal. So like what I want to do is lock in on my YouTube videos as the priority. That's ultimately the goal, and the point I'm trying to get around to is I don't believe that I would have been able to sustain posting daily if I was still working a traditional 9 to 5 job, because it takes up a lot of mental capacity for me, and I honestly can't see me dedicating myself to YouTube and still working a traditional 9 to 5 job. So I'm really trying to embrace the idea that it's very possible that I become a full-time content creator. And I mean, I guess technically that's what I'm doing now because I'm not working at this point, but when I really think about how, how much better I want to become at content creation and gaining more clarity on the direction in which I want to take this channel, it's going to require a lot for me to be able to, produce quality content for you all. And I just can't really see myself working a traditional job full time and still doing YouTube full time. Not at this point in my life. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that I'm embracing the idea that full-time content creation may be definitely a big part of my future. So those are the three main takeaways, the three biggest lessons that I've learned after posting on YouTube for the last 30 days straight. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.